Basketball legends don't often get attacked for praising young talent, but when WNBA icon Lisa Leslie celebrated Caitlin Clark's impact on Indiana Fever's new $78 million facility, the internet exploded with anger. Some called her wrong, others questioned her judgment. Yet Leslie, an 8-time All-Star and 3-time MVP, stood firm. The responses? They reveal a deeper problem nobody's talking about. Got in on that discussion just by making a little comment on an Instagram post and all Caitlin Clark derangement syndrome. Let's talk about something that's got the basketball world buzzing. The Indiana Fever just announced they're building a massive $78 million sports performance center. But what happened next? WNBA legend Lisa Leslie jumped into the conversation, and things got really interesting. 2-time WNBA Finals MVP, a 3-time WNBA MVP, 8-time All-Star, and 8-time All-WNBA First Team. For those who might not know Lisa Leslie, she's not just any former player. We're talking about a 2-time WNBA champion, 3-time MVP, and 8-time All-Star. When she speaks about basketball, it carries weight. So when she commented on ESPNW's Instagram post about the Fever's new facility, saying, "Wow, the impact of Caitlin Clark has really been a game changer. Love it," people took notice. Now Lisa Leslie is not new to speaking well of Caitlin Clark. She's not new to showing that she has great regard for Caitlin. But let's start with her comment over on Instagram, and then we'll flash back to what makes this whole situation fascinating is how Leslie's simple comment triggered such a strong reaction. You see, Leslie isn't someone who throws around praise lightly. She's been in the game long enough to see players come and go. She's watched talents rise and fall. So when she points to someone's impact, it means something. The story gets even more interesting when you look at Leslie's history with praising young talent. She's always been careful about hyping up newcomers. Throughout her career and after retirement, she's maintained a reputation for honest, straightforward assessments. Instead of celebrating this moment of cross-generational recognition, some folks in the basketball community couldn't handle it. The comments section turned into a battlefield, with people rushing to point out every facility built before Clark arrived in the league. You'd think someone with Leslie's credentials would be given the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we're talking about a player who dominated the WNBA during its formative years. Someone who helped build the league's foundation. Someone who understands better than most what it takes to grow women's basketball. Let's break down what's actually happening with the Fever. Since Clark's draft announcement, their business has transformed. We're not just talking about ticket sales, though those numbers are through the roof. We're seeing changes in corporate partnerships, media coverage, and now, facility investment. The timing of this facility announcement isn't random. The Fever could have announced this at any point. They could have done it after drafting Aaliyah Boston, another phenomenal talent. But they chose this moment, right as Clark's arrival is creating unprecedented buzz around the team. What's particularly telling is how some critics tried to dismiss Leslie's perspective. Comments like, "You can be a baller and be wrong," started popping up. Think about the audacity of that for a second. You're essentially telling one of the most accomplished players in WNBA history that she doesn't understand basketball's business dynamics. Leslie's support for Clark goes beyond this one comment. Back in September 2023, when everyone was debating whether Clark could transition to the pro game, Leslie was already defending her. She wasn't just making vague statements either. She specifically called out the doubters, saying she was laughing at all the folks who thought it was going to take her some time to adjust. The fascinating part about this whole controversy is how it reflects broader reactions to Clark's impact on women's basketball. Every time there's positive news around her influence, there's this immediate pushback. It's almost like some people are uncomfortable with the idea that one player could accelerate the sport's growth so significantly. But here's what those critics miss. Acknowledging Clark's impact doesn't diminish what came before. The WNBA's growth story has many chapters, many heroes. Players like Leslie herself, Cheryl Miller, Dawn Staley, and countless others laid the foundation. Teams like the Aces, Storm, and Mercury pushed for better facilities and treatment. Clark isn't erasing that history, she's building on it. The Indiana Fever's owner actually spoke about this recently. In an interview, they detailed how Clark's arrival has transformed their franchise's outlook. They're seeing interest from sponsors who never looked their way before. Season ticket sales have hit historic highs. Media coverage has expanded beyond traditional sports outlets. What makes Leslie's comment particularly powerful is that she understands this context better than most. She played when the WNBA was fighting for survival. She remembers when getting any media coverage was a struggle. She's seen the long, slow progress toward better facilities, better pay, better treatment. So when she points to Clark's impact as a game changer, she's speaking from a place of deep understanding. The new facility itself tells an interesting story. Breaking ground in 2025 and opening in 2027, it's not just a training center. It's a bet on the future of women's basketball in Indiana. Yes, other teams have built facilities before, but this one's different. It's coming at a moment when the Fever have captured national attention in an unprecedented way. Leslie's recognition of this moment matters because she bridges different eras of women's basketball. She played when the WNBA was just starting, when every game was a fight to prove the league's viability. She's watched the slow, steady progress over decades. When she sees something accelerating that progress, her perspective carries unique weight. The reaction to Leslie's comment also reveals something about how we discuss progress in women's sports. There's this tendency to pit different eras against each other, to create unnecessary conflicts between past and present. But real progress builds on what came before. It doesn't replace it. What's happening with the Fever isn't just about Clark, or Leslie, or any single person. It's about a moment when multiple factors align to create unprecedented opportunity. The foundation built by pioneers like Leslie made this possible. Clark's arrival provided the catalyst. The Fever's leadership seized the moment. Looking at the social media responses to Leslie's comment, you can see two distinct narratives forming. One sees this as a natural evolution of women's basketball, accelerated by new talent and opportunity. The other seems determined to minimize any suggestion of transformative change. The truth, as usual, lies somewhere in between. Leslie's perspective is particularly valuable because she's seen both sides. She played when women's basketball was fighting for basic recognition. Now she's watching it attract unprecedented attention and investment. When she points to Clark's impact, she's not dismissing what came before. She's celebrating how far things have come. The facility announcement itself deserves closer attention. This isn't just about building a place to practice. It's about creating a modern sports performance center that puts the Fever on par with any professional team. That kind of investment doesn't happen without confidence in the future, without belief that women's basketball in Indiana is entering a new era. What makes the backlash to Leslie's comments so puzzling is that she's essentially celebrating progress. She's not saying Clark invented women's basketball, or that nothing good happened before. She's simply acknowledging a catalyst for accelerated growth. The defensive responses say more about the critics than about Leslie or Clark. The reactions to Leslie's comment opened up another interesting conversation about legacy in women's basketball. See, this isn't just about facilities or business growth. It's about how the sport evolves and who gets credit for what. When Leslie, a pillar of the WNBA, recognizes Clark's impact, she's not diminishing her own era. She's showing how progress builds over time. Remember when Leslie started her WNBA career? The league was fighting for survival. Teams practiced in high school gyms. Media coverage was minimal. Fast forward to today, and we're talking about state-of-the-art facilities, primetime games, and record-breaking viewership. That progress didn't happen overnight, and it didn't happen because of any single person. But here's what makes the current moment special. It's accelerating everything. The Fever's new facility is a perfect example. Sure, other teams have built training centers before, but the timing, scale, and ambition of this project tell a bigger story. This isn't just about keeping up with other teams. It's about betting big on women's basketball's future in Indiana. Let's dig into what Leslie actually said. Her Instagram comment wasn't just about Clark, it was about impact and change. When she wrote, "Wow, the impact of Caitlin Clark has really been a game changer. Love it," she was acknowledging something bigger than one player or one facility. The fascinating part is how some people rushed to correct Leslie. They started listing every facility built before Clark arrived. They mentioned other stars who drew crowds. They talked about previous milestones. All valid points, but they missed Leslie's larger message about momentum and transformation. Think about Leslie's perspective for a moment. She's watched the WNBA grow from 8 teams playing in borrowed arenas to a league where teams are building their own state-of-the-art facilities. She's seen attendance rise and fall, TV deals come and go. When she points to something as a game changer, she's speaking from deep experience. The Fever's journey is particularly interesting here. They've had great players before. They drafted Tamika Catchings, one of the greatest ever. They've had playoff runs and championships. But this moment feels different. The energy around the team, the business metrics, the community engagement. It's all reaching new levels. What makes some people so uncomfortable about acknowledging this growth? Every time there's positive news about Clark's impact, there's this immediate need to qualify it, to remind everyone about what came before. It's like some folks think recognizing new impact somehow erases past achievements. Leslie gets this better than most. As a pioneer in women's basketball, she helped build the foundation others now stand on. When she celebrates Clark's impact, she's not forgetting her own contributions, or those of her peers. She's recognizing how the sport keeps evolving. The social media debate that followed Leslie's comment revealed something interesting about how people view progress. Some see it as a straight line, where each achievement builds directly on the last. Others understand it's more complicated, that sometimes you need catalyst moments to accelerate existing momentum. Look at what's happening with the Fever's business. Their season ticket sales aren't just up, they're setting records. Their merchandise isn't just selling, it's flying off shelves. Media coverage isn't just increasing, it's expanding to new audiences. This isn't normal growth, it's transformation. Leslie saw this coming. Back in September, when critics were questioning whether Clark could adjust to the pro game, Leslie was already calling them out. She posted about laughing at all the folks who thought it was going to take her some time to adjust. She recognized something special was happening. The facility announcement adds another layer to this story. Breaking ground in 2025, opening in 2027. This is long-term thinking. The Fever aren't just building for Clark's rookie contract, they're betting on sustained growth, on women's basketball becoming an even bigger part of Indiana's sports culture. What's particularly striking about Leslie's support is its consistency. She's been backing Clark since before the draft. She celebrated Clark's college achievements, defended her against critics, and now recognizes her impact on the pro game. This isn't just random praise, it's a considered assessment from one of the game's greats. The reactions to Leslie's comment also highlight something about generational change in sports. Some people seem to think acknowledging new impact somehow disrespects what came before, but that's not how progress works. Each generation builds on what came before, sometimes in unexpected ways. Think about the Fever's timing here. They could have announced this facility at any point. They've had other great players, other successful seasons. But they chose this moment, when they're seeing unprecedented interest and growth. That's not coincidence, it's seizing an opportunity. What's often lost in these discussions is how multiple factors work together. Yes, other teams built facilities first. Yes, other players drew big crowds. Yes, the WNBA has been growing steadily, but sometimes you need a catalyst to accelerate that existing momentum. That's what Leslie was pointing to. The business side of this is fascinating. The Fever's owner talked about how Clark's arrival has transformed their ability to secure endorsements and partnerships. These aren't just local deals, they're attracting national and international brands. That kind of change doesn't happen without real impact. Leslie's career gives her unique insight here. She played when the WNBA was just establishing itself. She helped build its credibility, its fan base, its business model. When she sees something changing the game's trajectory, she understands the significance in ways others might miss. The new facility plans reflect this broader transformation. This isn't just a practice gym, it's a comprehensive sports performance center. The Fever are investing in technology, recovery facilities, fan experiences. They're building something that matches their ambitions for the future. What makes the backlash to Leslie's comments so interesting is how it reveals different views of progress. Some see women's basketball as a steady march forward, where each step must be carefully credited. Others recognize that while the foundation is essential, sometimes you get moments of accelerated change. The truth is, both perspectives matter. The WNBA's growth story includes countless contributors, players, coaches, executives, fans. Each played their part in getting the league where it is today. But that doesn't mean we can't recognize when something speeds up that progress. Leslie's support carries special weight because she understands this complexity. She knows what it took to build the WNBA's foundation. She remembers the struggles, the setbacks, the small victories. When she points to transformation happening now, she's not forgetting that history. She is celebrating how far things have come. The Fever's story is particularly compelling because it shows how different factors come together. They had the foundation, history, fan base, community support. They had talent, drafting great players like Aaliyah Boston. But sometimes you need something extra to take things to another level. That's what Leslie was recognizing. Looking ahead, This moment could mark a significant shift in how we think about women's basketball facilities. The Fever aren't just following a trend, they're raising the bar. Their investment sends a message about what's possible, what's expected, what's necessary for the sport's future. That's really what Leslie was celebrating. Not just Clark's individual impact, but how this moment is pushing women's basketball forward in new ways.